Hello everyone. So today I'm just going to make a quick video to show you how to find a crack in a soundboard of a grand piano. You can also use this to find it in an upright piano, but it's usually a little bit more difficult. You have to look at the back of an upright piano, which will be looking underneath the grand piano. But usually you don't climb underneath a grand piano to find a crack. It's easy enough to find just by lifting the lid and looking inside with a flashlight. So let's go take a look. So I have in my shop here a grand piano. This is a Chickering & Sons I'm working on. We can see it by the logo here. Now if you look right at the logo, you can see there's a big dark line running through the logo. That is a soundboard crack. And it goes from that end of the soundboard all the way up to where the tuning pins are, pretty much, or at least the end of the soundboard here. So this whole crack right here, this crack. Now looking at the soundboard, there's definitely grain, and you might get confused looking at the grain. But usually with a crack, you can see right through. You can even put your thumb in it. You can feel there's a crack there. Now I have the lid entirely off of this piano, but if you look inside with a flashlight of your piano, looking for a crack, you can find that there is indeed a crack in there. You can see it pretty well. Some cracks are much wider than others in terms of you can see light coming through them even. You can see the floor underneath if you look close enough. So now, like something like this is just wood grain. There's no cracks here. This is just wood grain. So soundboard cracks occur because the wood of the soundboard has dried out too much, and the plant cells that are in the spruce shrink and they rip themselves apart, usually along the grain line. So that's why soundboard cracks happen. Not because it's dropped or anything like that. It's because it's dried out too much. All right, let's take a look underneath. I'm now underneath the grand piano. We can see beaming structure. We can see the lyre with the pedals. And so now let's get a little closer and look at the inner underneath. So like something like this is a crack. You can see it doesn't really look like it's supposed to be there. You can get your thumb in there, you can feel it. And we can look a little further. So this is the big crack that was very obvious. You can even see there's light showing through it. And so what another issue is I don't know if you can see too clearly, but this rib has separated. So what the ribs do is they run perpendicular to the grain and the boards of the soundboard, and they support it and hold it all together. So you can see this crack under here, and it runs right over those ribs. But once it cracks, it usually separates from the ribs, and you might get some sort of a buzzing. I don't know if you can see, it's separated in there. So that needs to be repaired. And then really the only way you can do that is to remove all the strings and take the big iron plate out of the top of it. And what a traditional method you can use is to route out that crack and put a shim in. A new, more modern method that has been in use more recently is to take epoxy and fill the crack with the epoxy and then paint it over the soundboard as well to give the soundboard a little bit more stiffness and improve the sound of the instrument. So thank you for joining me today. I hope you learned a little bit about soundboard cracks and what they look like and how to find them in your grand piano. And like I said, in an upright piano, it's a very similar process. The top of the soundboard, though, is hidden in the front of the case, and you have to take out the front panel and the action usually too, just to see the soundboard. So they're easier to find on the back of an upright piano, whereas on a grand you can just open the lid and look. So I hope that helps. Thanks for joining me.